Okay, well, welcome to our info session for the brand new first year Flames Abroad program. We are thrilled that you have shown early interest in this new program, and it's been something we've been putting together for the better part, I'd say at least a year and a half now. And so we're just super excited that this summer we'll finally have the chance to offer it to a new group of UIC Flames. And so we're going to provide an overview for you today about the program. We'll talk a little bit about the course that's going to be offered. We'll talk about some logistical information about what we're going to be doing while we're in Costa Rica. And then we'll end with some more next steps, how to apply funding, that sort of thing. So hopefully that will get a lot of your questions answered. But before we dive in, I want to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. So my name is Kyle Rausch. I serve as the Executive Director of the Study Abroad Office here at UIC. Worked in the Study Abroad offices at about 4 universities for 15 years now. So it's safe to say I'm a huge believer and proponent of study abroad. And that really started myself when I was a high school student. I had the opportunity to study off at a small island off the west coast of France called Noirmoutier. It just changed my life, to say the least. I ended up being a French and Russian double major in college, and then studied 2 more times in France, and then did an internship in London. I became a student worker in the study abroad office at my university, so I kind of never left to study abroad. And I'm just really excited now to get to work with students to give them their own life-changing international experiences. So we are also joined by a colleague who can't be here today, so I'll just briefly introduce her. Dr. Jennifer Olson will be the faculty lead who will be traveling with the group and teaching on the program. She teaches in our College of Education, and she's also leading a second study abroad program to Brazil. So she's also a big believer in what study abroad can do. And in the future, you'll get a chance to meet her and she can share a lot more, but I know she spent several years teaching in the Chicago public school system. And that leaves my other colleague who is with us today, who I'd like to pass it over, Mark, so you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi Leilani. My name is Mark. I serve as the director of UIC's New Student and Family Programs Office. So my area is really focused on the transition of new students and their families into the institution. So we do things like orientation, family weekend, parent-family programming, convocation, all kinds of things related to the transition of new students to UIC. And so I did not have a formal study abroad experience when I was in college, but I did actually do an international abroad trip with a faculty member for a performing ensemble that I was in. And it was actually a 10-day educational trip. And also for me was kind of a life-changing opportunity to see the world and to see how other places worked. And so I have, like Kyle, been on multiple college campuses for about 15 years working in transition programming. And so I'm excited to connect the dots between the transition that my office offers to students with the study abroad experience that Kyle has and the academic curriculum that Jen's bringing. So all 3 of us kind of rounding out that, that holistic experience there.
Thank you, Mark. And Leilani, since it's just you, if you don't mind, we'd love to get to know a little bit about you. So if you're comfortable, maybe you can share a little bit about yourself, maybe if you know you're coming to UIC for sure, and if so, what you're thinking maybe about studying here. And then lastly, what got you interested in coming to learn more about this program?
First of all, thank you for the presentation. And I have always been interested in attending UIC, and I did get accepted to the business administration program.
Congratulations.
So yeah, that is what I am going for. And I am very interested in traveling. So I really thought that this program did catch my attention.
Awesome. And have you traveled abroad yet?
I've only been to places like Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, well, it's not a requirement, but I always love figuring out which students have traveled abroad before and which haven't. I love working with the ones who haven't had a ton of international travel experience because I think study abroad is a great way to get you started on that trajectory. So again, we're glad you're here, and we're going to go ahead and move on to hopefully get you the information that you're after for this program. And so with that, I'll let Mark do our next slide.
Yeah, so this new program, First Year Flames Abroad, is kind of a combination of some brainstorming that Kyle and I were able to do and think about, again, how we can link our areas and focus on incoming new students and getting them excited and hopefully then even into multiple abroad experiences while they are at the university. And so this is the first year we've done it. We tried to launch it in 2020 and then 2021. And so here we are, right? We're all working through the challenges that have been COVID for the last couple of years. But so we're excited to launch this program in its first year this coming August. And the idea behind this is it's actually a program focused on first year students who are also identify as first generation college students. So for us, that first generation college student piece means students whose parents have not graduated from a U.S. institution of higher education, so no bachelor's degrees. And so the idea is it's an early engagement opportunity with an international experience kind of before you even start your time at UIC as a full-time student. And so really a great opportunity, as Kyle was saying, to kind of have students who have the very little experience to those who have had lots of experience, but be able to do that all together prior to the start of the fall semester. And the program, and we'll talk a little bit more about the structure of all the things happening, but the idea is that we are linking this idea of global education, leadership development, and college student success. And so that will happen through some of our pre-components, the actual travel experience itself, and then our fall curriculum, our academic course. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, but the idea is it's kind of this cohort experience that students go through multiple experiences together and start to build relationships and connections with each other as well as the university.
Thanks, Mark. All right, so what this program is termed what we call a faculty-directed program. There's different kinds of study abroad programs we run at UIC. And so I just want to say a few words about what that means. So on a faculty-directed program, you're traveling with a group of UIC students as well as UIC faculty and staff. So the plan is that all three of us, both myself, Mark, and Jen, will be on site with you in Costa Rica to offer you that support while you're there. But you'll also have a great network of other new UIC first-year students that you're starting to meet. And I think there's a lot of great things that can come from that, especially as you come back to campus for the fall semester and continue building those networks. So the first benefit I'd say about this kind of a program is that you really have that nice built-in support structure while you're traveling. Now, the other great thing about these programs is that you will be earning UIC credit that counts towards your degree. So I know sometimes students have this concern that if I study abroad, will it delay my graduation? Will the credits count? Well, the great news about this program is it's actual UIC classes we're offering, so they will count towards your degree plan. As I mentioned, you're going to have an opportunity to build strong connection with UIC faculty and staff members. In addition to setting you up well, we think, for your first few semesters at UIC, long term, this can be really helpful, especially as later down in your career, you start thinking maybe about grad school or applying for jobs. You know, these might be some individuals whom you can turn to for mentorship or letters of recommendation, because we'll get to know you in a really interesting way, getting to travel during your study abroad program with you. Of course, the short time frame we think helps oftentimes with students who have busy schedules. Again, that support piece is big, and it just helps you start building your UIC network early on. So now I want to share a few words about the actual course that's attached to the study abroad program. So if you decide to participate, you will be enrolling in ED 199, College Success and Leadership in a Global Context. This course is offered by the College of Education, but it's open to students from any discipline. So I think you mentioned you're going to be a business student. No problem. You would still be able to take this course. More than likely, what it would count for you, Leilani, it would be an elective credit, but that's something we can work with you to discuss with your academic advisor. Okay. Now the class, again, it's a 3-credit class, and it's going to start with the trip in the summer, but you're going to continue taking the class in the fall when you come back. Okay, and I think we have information a little bit later on about that time, but I believe it's at Mondays in the early afternoon. Okay, as I mentioned, it's open to students from any major. And just to give you an idea for what some of the topics we're going to be covering in class are, I pulled a couple of our learning objectives. So first, you know, one of our intentions is that students who go on this program will be able to explore complex dimensions of diversity, equity, and inclusion, around the world and on campus, including language, culture, and identity. So we're going to talk about the itinerary in a moment, but one of the things that we're going to get to do is actually do a service learning project with some local Costa Ricans who are part of a diverse community there. And I think the teamwork skills that we'll learn from that project, as well as learning how to work across diversity and cultural barriers, is something that you can take back as transferable skills as you begin to go through your program of study here at UIC. Another sample learning outcome is that students will be able to develop meaningful relationships with peers, faculty, and staff to support their personal and academic success and develop personal and professional support networks. So I hope you're catching on that really building these connections is an extremely important part of this experience. And I hope that one of the reasons you're interested is because you see the value in getting a network at a big school like UIC early on. I think when we've looked at other schools that run study abroad programs for first-year students, this always seems to be a benefit that those students talk about, is that when I got back from my experience, I felt like I had friends already on campus or mentors I could go to, and I think that's going to be the same for our program. Mark, was there anything else course-wise that you want to add? Nope. All right, we will move on. So maybe I will, if Mark's okay with it, invite him to say a few words on this slide, because before we travel to Costa Rica, we are going to be doing some things with you here on UIC's campus. And I know Mark has had some exciting thoughts about what that could look like. So do you mind unpacking that a bit?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned earlier, our goal of this is to kind of connect multiple components of your experience starting at UIC. So we're looking at having a pre-travel experience that will actually happen the day or two before we all depart for the trip. We'll have everyone come to campus and we'll do some sessions together to kind of prepare and be able to go. So we will cover the overnight accommodations for that. So I'll ask everyone to come to UIC, stay on campus for a night so that we've got a day or two to be able to connect with you all and answer questions and get ready to go, but also do some fun kind of developmental stuff that help us understand ourselves and each other better as we go on to the trip. And so we also will be hosting some optional kind of family sessions during that time. So parents and family members who may be interested in learning about a little bit more about what the trip might entail, we'll have some opportunity for that. And so that'll be the couple days leading up to the actual trip experience. Then on August 5th, we all will go together. We will fly out of Chicago together to Costa Rica, where we will start the experience. It's a 10-day experience. So we'll be back on the 14th of August, I almost said April, of August. And then that's where, as Kyle mentioned, you will then start taking classes, which begin the 22nd of I think the 22nd is the Monday of August. And so then that's when you would start then taking the class on Mondays from 1 to 350, that ED 199 course. And so the idea is that we've got some pre-trip stuff to help build connections and relationships and some individual development opportunities that will then lead into the abroad experience and then connect to the academic coursework and credits that you get in the fall for completing that class.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we going to be traveling to? So we had a lot of fun thinking about the different places we could base the program, and ultimately we ended up with Costa Rica for a variety of reasons. Some of the reasons we chose Costa Rica, though, is that it's a destination that we think really lends itself to interdisciplinary topics that we're looking at. For one, as you might know, Costa Rica is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet. So as you see here, it's home to over 500,000 species. There's active volcanoes. And because of this rich biodiversity, Costa Rica as a country really places a lot of emphasis on sustainability and environmentalism. And so especially if those are topics that you're interested in, there's going to be rife opportunities to connect with experts there to learn what they're doing to protect their diversity of nature and animals that are there. So even if you're not a science major, we still feel that these experiences are going to be helpful across disciplines, because there's some of the same global challenges that we're dealing with back home, right? And in addition to the biodiversity that they offer, Costa Rica is also known for being a place rich with ecotourism opportunities. And so what that means is a lot of their economy is based on inviting foreigners to come visit their beautiful country and to participate in experiential visits, such as doing hikes throughout the cloud forest or maybe to the volcano park. And so these are the excursions that we're going to be participating in. And we thought having a really experiential program like this will help with some of the overall aims we're interested in terms of helping us build that connection with one another, learning teamwork skills, which are going to translate to your work back on campus and really hopefully get you set up well to succeed in your first semester. So a fun way of carrying out some of the learning that we hope will occur on the program. So our program is actually going to start in San Jose, which is the capital of Costa Rica. We'll be spending a few days there. And then after a few days in San Jose, we'll make our way to La Fortuna and Areno Volcano National Park, which I actually see a picture of in the bottom here. And then we'll spend, I think it's a night or two there. And then we will be able to check out the Monteverde Cloud Forest before heading back to San Jose. So we'll be leaving also from San Jose. And to give you a further sense of what we've got planned, it's going to be an intense 10 days, but we wanted to make sure you saw as much as you can of Costa Rica while we're there. So I'll just run through some of these. Our local university partner there is going to be Veritas University. They work with our host organization, which is World Strides. So you're going to get the experience of visiting a traditional Costa Rican university, and we'll have some guest lectures talk to you while we're there. Then we'll have a guided city tour of San Jose. That way you get your bearings straight and can kind of see some of the cool sites of cultural importance you might want to check out if and when you have a moment of free time. We're going to do a tour and lunch at Cafe Brit, which is a gourmet coffee roaster, since coffee is an important part of Costa Rican economy. So that should be a neat experience to learn about that. We'll have a night where we do a Costa Rican cooking class and then also a dance class. So bringing in some of those important cultural elements as well. We're going to hike to La Fortuna waterfall. Again, we'll visit Areno Volcano National Park. The Monteverde Cloud Forest Preserve is probably what I'm most excited for. If you just Google some pictures, it's incredible. You have these suspension rope bridges that take you throughout the park and allow you to see the wildlife that are living in the canopies of the trees. We'll have a guide who can help point out the various species of wildlife that we'll see on our hike. So that should be pretty awesome to experience. And then, as I mentioned earlier, one of the big components of the travel experience is the service learning project, where it's going to give us a great opportunity to meet with local Costa Ricans. Hopefully, we're looking to work with an underrepresented or indigenous population to get a diverse perspective of what it's like to live in Costa Rica. And the project will very much be a hands-on project where we're trying to do something that addresses a challenge that they raise. And then our program ends with a tour of another volcano, the Poas volcano. We'll visit a coffee plantation and see another waterfall, the La Paz waterfall. So very outdoorsy. I think this is a great program for students who do kind of like that hands-on, hiking sort of travel experience. But it's going to be, I just think it's going to be an exciting time, and we're going to get to see a lot of a country in a little amount of time. So where will you be living while we're there? Since it's a short program, we're going to be using 2 hotels. So while in San Jose, you see a picture. This is the hotel that's been proposed by our partner, the Finca Escalante. And it actually, if you get on their website, reminds me almost more of not an Airbnb, but a bed and breakfast style, kind of more of a local Costa Rican flair. So I'm really appreciative they were able to find this one for us. When we go more towards Areno, we'll be staying at the Hotel Los Lagos. And again, this is a picture of it here. We have the lovely volcano as our backdrop, and photos on their website show that this is actually a spa and kind of retreat kind of place. So there's pools and whatnot. So it should be a very idyllic place to spend while we are out that way towards Areno. In both locations, daily breakfast will be provided. So you'll have breakfast and there is internet access. So Wi-Fi will be available as well. Okay, well, I know when we're thinking about study abroad, cost is always a big concern. So we definitely want to spend a moment talking about this. But I am super excited to say that this is probably our most accessible program, thanks to some funding that we were able to receive from the university, but also a big shout out to Mark's office, New Student and Family Programs, who is heavily subsidizing the program to make it an affordable opportunity for all students. So if you decide you'd like to go, what will you pay? So there's a $50 application fee and then a $200 study abroad office fee. And then typically you would pay the program fee, which in this case would amount to about just over $3,000. But again, because of these funding resources, all you're going to be asked to pay is a $250 program deposit. And if you go on the program, you're actually going to get that money back to you. So that way you have some money while you're in Costa Rica to use for meals that aren't included in the program fee. So total, to participate on this experience, you would just be paying $500 plus your airfare and personal spending money while you're on site. So that's about a $2,500 savings. Again, makes it an incredibly affordable study abroad program. So what's included in this $500 are your airport transfers to and from the airport in Costa Rica, the housing in those hotels I mentioned, the local transportation for all of the activities. So you won't have to worry about paying extra for that once we're there. That's already covered. All entry fees for the field trips I mentioned. And then there are some group meals as well that we built in. And then lastly, you'll be covered by a comprehensive international health insurance policy. That way, should you need to be seen by a doctor while you're there, that would be taken care of. So it does not include the tuition for the 3 credits for your fall course that you are required to take. So if you have financial aid for the fall semester, that should go cover your tuition. Airfare, that will be something that you need to cover. We plan on putting together a group flight though, so that we don't have to worry about figuring out on your own. There will be a flight that we recommend and you would just pay directly to our trip agent for that. If you are a non-US citizen, then you might need to get a visa, but we could help you with that. And then personal spending money, okay? So if you're interested, here's a quick outline of what some of your next steps would be. First, if you don't already have a passport, make sure you apply for one now, because I hear that processing times are kind of backed up due to the pandemic. There's still time to get one in time for the program, but you definitely don't want to wait too long on that. Then if you haven't already, you need to confirm your intent to enroll with UIC, because this is actually what will enable you to be able to start the application process. So we first need you to make a decision about coming to UIC and then accept your offer of admission. This next step I think is pretty important. If you are able to get in touch with your advisor at UIC now, you might send them an email and just explain, hey, I'm thinking of doing this program and I'd love to just have a quick conversation about the course and how it's going to work. If you have any trouble though, because it is a little early in your career, figuring out who your advisor is, that's something that we'll be able to help with. It's just a good idea to kind of let them know what you're thinking of doing in terms of study abroad. Then the big thing you need to do is apply to the actual program. So the program does have a web page on the Study Abroad Office website. After you've activated your Net ID, your UIC credentials, you'll be able to start that application by visiting the page and clicking this Apply Now button. One of the tasks is a requirement to meet with me. Now, Leilani, since you're the only one on this call, if you decide to apply, I am very happy to count that you've already done this. Just send me an email after you start the application and I'll go in and mark it as complete. Of course, if you have more questions and you want to meet still, I'm also happy to have another meeting with you. So that's up to you. And then eventually, when it comes time to register for your fall courses here at UIC, you'll just want to make sure that you're registering for ED 199 since it is a requirement to go on the program. Okay. Right, and this is our contact information. All of our information is also on the web page, which is at this link, but I'm going to stop sharing the screen now and see if there are any questions we can answer, Leilani.
Honestly, most of the questions I would have had have been answered by the presentation, but I do believe I did. I have been emailing with you because I've had difficulties trying to apply for the program.
Yes, I remember we've been in touch. And when's the last time you tried, do you know?
The last time I emailed you, so that was probably like last week.
Okay, do you have a couple moments now where maybe we could look together and see?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Well, why don't you go to the Study Abroad Office website, and then when you're there, if you want, you can share your screen and I can walk you through it and we'll see what's happening.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording for